Good morning. Hi, everyone. Hi. Just looking around the room. This is where eyes meet, where kindred hearts beat. I love that line. Let's hold that. Okay. Well, thank you for joining us today. And we're going to have a wonderful time together. So welcome to Unity of Bellingham. I'm Shari Humes. I'm your service assistant today. We have Andrew as our guest speaker, and his talk title is Give Me Liberty or, and we'll find out what the or is. Yeah. So, and then our music team is Kate and Marcia. And we have our bestest treat, JP Falcon Grady. So, okay.
Protection from a mother's warm embrace. We are held in the hands of grace.
Let us join in prayer. Coming together as a collective in the grace of unity, grace be to you, grace be to each. We're one in the heart as Spirit Divine, reaching for greater understanding, how to make a difference in our life that will expand and then turn into blessings for our family, neighbors, and community, our nation, and peoples all around our amazing home on Mother Earth. We bless that those that serve our country, and we say thank you to them. We bless those that care for our physical health, and we say thank you. We bless those that provide services that make our life easier. We say thank you. Take a moment to think of who you would like to provide a thank you for. And now waves of gratitude expand out. We are making a difference. Prayer creates change. And so it is. I invite you now to move into a time of nourishing meditation. Begin by what soothes and nourishes your body. It's your breath. Breathe in deeply, slowly. This signals your body and brain to relax and open. Breathing slowly, deeply is a bath for your nervous system. Take a few more cycles of breath. Life presents experiences that distract from the truth. The truth is, we are the love and light of creation. So imagine a seed of light. It can be one of color or a spectrum of colors. Place this seed of light in the center of your body, just below your ribs. Begin to fully see and feel the light. Now expand the light within so your body is fully held in the glow of that which you are, love and light. Breathe in love and light. Allow love to leaven. Breathe in and magnify your light. Spirit Divine is calling you to remember who you are. Embody the freedom of pure light, pure love. As we breathe and feel the truth of our essence, light and love liberates into oneness. So now let the soft music allow you to expand and feel the joy of breathing, relaxing, experiencing the love and light that is you. As you go forward in your day and the week ahead, take a moment to breathe. It calms your soul, calms your nervous system. And when you breathe, imagine love and light. That is who you are. Amen.
Something deep moves the ocean. Something deep moves the trees. Something deep moves like water. Something deep moves with ease. I've been the atmosphere. I've been far and near. Never been so deep. Never been so deep. Heard your name whispered in the winter. Heard your name on the breeze. Brought me down to the ocean. It brought me down to my knees. I've been the atmosphere. I've been far and near. Never been so deep. I've never been so deep. Ooh, it's like water poured from ancient prayers and melodies. I'm like water, and you set me free. Set me free. I've been the atmosphere. I've been far and near. Never been so deep. Never been so deep. Hey. 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 Oh.
Well, good morning, Bellingham Unity. Yes, great to be back. And hello to all the folks online. I was out there last weekend on the other side of the camera in my bathtub. That was a first. My wife, we talked about whether I should mention that, but fortunately I had a Post-it note over the camera. So, because I've watched before in my jammies. But anyway, Independence Day, the 4th of July was 3 days ago. And at this time of year, the words liberty and freedom seem to carry extra meaning. You don't hear many people talking in this country about freedom and liberty, in December, right? But 1775, March 23rd, Patrick Henry said some very famous words. And maybe remember them. Give me liberty or death. Well, I kind of looked at that and I said, is there a better way to work with that? Give me liberty. I can understand where he was coming from at the time, with King George, because basically, treason is they were, talking about signing the Declaration of Independence and stuff. But so I know that you all have access to the divine, to the divine mind of God. And so if you come up with a better ending, let me know. Okay? But Independence Day commemorates the signing of the Declaration of Independence. And here's some words from the Declaration. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men and women are created equal, that they are endowed with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Liberty. And sometimes liberty and freedom are they're very similar in a lot of ways. Then, of course, in the U.S. Constitution that followed that, they enumerated our rights, which included the freedom of speech, freedom of the press, freedom of religion, but they left out freedom for taxation. What can you say? But I recently read an article about spiritual freedom. And what is spiritual freedom? Well, it's the freedom to choose how I think, how I act, and how to be, my state of being. Spiritual freedom actually is a gift from God. It can never be taken away. It works wherever we are. This is how we co-create our life with God. By our own conscious choices we make in every moment. This is spiritual freedom. That's everything we do. But the article said, and yet sometimes we shrink from our spiritual freedom. We blame someone else for our troubles. He or she is responsible, but they maybe do it. It's the victim consciousness. I'm helpless. I can't do anything about it. And once upon a time, I'm guilty. My wife's a very good cook. And when I first got married, I would prefer that she did all the cooking. And so I'd sit there and like a little bird, feed me, feed me, feed me. But eventually I learned how to boil water and, cook pasta, make oatmeal. And it's evolved over time. I'm fairly good at making salads. I guess you wouldn't call it cooking, but it was easy for me to fall into that. But the truth is that we're not victims, that we have the power to impact our lives in a positive way. Now, some of you may have heard the story of Major Ken Naismith, that's Nesmeth, and he was a fighter pilot during the Vietnam War. And he flew many flights over Vietnam. And he also, his plane went down and he was captured by the Viet Cong or whoever it was, and he was put in a cage. And they said it was like 4 feet by 5 feet or something. And he was a prisoner of war for 7 years, which is a long time. And before the war, one thing he enjoyed was golf. He was reasonably good at golf. But so what he would do while he sat in his cage, because there wasn't much to do, he would imagine going out to play his favorite golf course. And when I say imagine, he said that he went into great detail. Like he would think about the clothes he was wearing, what he was putting on, that day. And just to really imagine putting on his golf shoes. And then he would get his clubs, and he just went through it in great detail. Picking up the ball and the tee, sticking it in the ground to start with, and imagining, what kind of day it was. Smelling the air, hearing the birds. Was there sunlight? How did it feel? And then, getting out on the first tee, swinging and kaboom and hitting his drive, but just imagining what would happen, and then how far it went, and then walking down the fairway, and he was taking his time too. It wasn't like a quick run through. This was just going through step by step, and getting on the greens and reading the putts, looking, what's the contour? How's the grain run of the grass? And he'd do this for hours on end, playing golf. And he says that kept him going. So afterwards, this is when I say afterwards, after the war, he was released. And he came back, and he wasn't in the best of shape because, after being cooped up for 7 years. But he says, well, let's go out and play some golf. And he went out and shot a 74, which was very good. It was like only 2 over par. But it was like that mind, that visualization overcame all the other limitations. And to me, what that is an example of that spiritual freedom. The sense of no matter what's happening around us, you could still, the mind, you have that freedom to create your own experience. And then it can carry on afterwards. So spiritual freedom can never be taken away. It works wherever we are, even in prisoner in a jail. Now, Ernest Holmes, who is the founder of, what's now called Centers of Spiritual Living, said the meaning of freedom implies the possibility of suffering. See, we're free to suffer. Because we are free only by the virtue of the possibility of choosing more than one course of action. And then there are words from the Bible, John 8:32, you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. In some versions of the Bible, they use the word liberate. You'll be liberated by knowing the truth. So what is the truth? Well, for each of us, I believe that each of us has our own truth in a sense. But for me, there's one presence, one power. That's what we affirm here on Sundays, right? First unity principle. There's one presence, one power in the universe, in our lives. And another truth would be that we're all children of God, in a sense. That we all have access to the divine. That spark of divinity is within us. That we've been given the gift of freedom, spiritual freedom. And then in unity, we talk about the law of mind action. That what we think about can be manifest. And that there's an efficacy to prayer and meditation. That it's important. And I know they're doing, I shouldn't say they, I know the church here has been doing, this is a 7-week class in meditation. And so it's like, that's important to, kind of, I know I can, blah, 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 just quiet it all down. And then finally, the 5th unity principles, walk the talk. We can know these principles, but unless we actually get out and practice them or do them, what good are they? So other aspects of freedom, is the freedom to surrender, turn our problems over to God, to the divine. Release and let go. We have that freedom. And as I mentioned before, it says nobody said that anything about freedom from challenges. And in the book The Prophet by Khalil Gibran, he has actually a chapter on liberty. And in there he says, there's going to be challenges, no matter what, but it's like rising above them. Because we're here on planet Earth to learn and grow. from our experiences. And I'm reminded of an experience I had once. It had to do with flying. And so I always wanted to soar. You know what soaring is? You go up in a plane, except it doesn't have an engine, just, you're up there steering. Well, I had always wanted to do that. So I found a place out at Deer Park. This is over in Spokane, Washington. But I don't want to say I made a mistake, but once I'd taken a flying lesson. This is years ago down in California. So I told the fellow, I says, oh, I've been up in a plane once before, whatever. So I don't know, in the back of his mind, he says, oh, okay, great. So we get up there and we're going around stuff. He says, okay, now it's your turn to drive. And what happened was we started kind of going around and around and around and around. And, you're supposed to push the levers and do this or do that. But it was finally, finally when I was able to calm down, eventually we leveled out. He says, okay, I think I'll take the controls now. But we can there's challenges in life, but we can work through them. It's really the freedom to choose how to respond to the challenges that we have. And Paul in the Bible talked about, where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is freedom. And other versions of the Bible talk about liberty. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there's liberty. But it's just knowing we're all children of God and have that gift of freedom. Liberty and freedom, they're very similar words, but they're slightly different. Webster says they're interchangeable. So the definition of freedom is it's the state of being at liberty. Okay? And the definition of liberty, it's freedom from despotic rule or freedom from bondage. So it's like they both kind of define each other in a way. But they also say that liberty is undue exercise, is undue exercise of freedom in the sense of freedom is choices, whereas liberty is the results. In the sense of we all have a freedom to choose, to surrender, to do whatever. But liberty is as a result of. And I was just talking with a friend recently. He wasn't quite buying that. But it's the idea of the liberty is doing what we want to do when we want to do it, having what we have when we want to have it, and being what we want to be whenever we want to be it. But we always have constraints in life, no matter where we are, even if we feel free. As an example, I was hiking down the central California coast here about 2 weeks ago now. And so we're in literally the middle of nowhere on this beach. And I was somewhat constrained. There's a sense of freedom, right? I'm all free, I'm out backpacking. But the ocean's right there, 50, 100 feet away. So I'm constrained by that. And the mountains went straight up. And so it's like even though there's a sense of freedom, there was still a constraint. And it was still, 10 miles that way to the trailhead, 10 miles that way to the trailhead. So it wasn't like I was free to be where I was, but I wasn't necessarily free to get out and go, right? And even I was thought about it with the astronauts or people in space. Isn't there a sense of freedom being shot into space? But at the same time, they're kind of enclosed in a little capsule, right? And so they don't have a whole lot of, once they get outside of that, it's like, well, better have your oxygen suit on. So one of Unity's principal or early text was by Emily Cady, called Lessons in Truth. And her first chapter was bondage or liberty, which? So we have a choice. And her thought was, we kind of get tied into thinking, and she was talking more about our thoughts, about how we're bound up by our thinking, tied to the way things ought to be, should be, versus having that liberty, that more expansive thing. It's like, an example would be, oh, it's really hot outside today. Maybe I should stay inside. No, I'm not saying that's not sensible, but it's like holding back, or it's too cold out. It's raining. I don't think I want to go for a walk today. But it's like, I got an umbrella. I can go out in the rain. I'm not going to melt. I'm not the wicked witch of the East, so I'm not going to melt. But in Lessons in Truth, she talks about quite often there's bondage to sense consciousness, what we feel. But there is a journey to liberation, that once we awaken that we are heirs of God, and do things like meditate daily or have some kind of spiritual practice, whether it's meditation, qigong, yoga, even exercise, something to kind of waken our bodies, waken our minds, that it feeds us. And I'm reminded of this experience I had once. I went down to this teacher's name is Alexander Everett in Oregon. And we came into this class. It was a 2-day class. And he asked a question. Earlier, he says, how many of you had breakfast this morning? And so almost all the hands went up in the room. And then he says, okay, how many of you have meditated this morning? And less hands went up. And he says, well, it never fails to amaze me how many people feed their bodies, which are temporal or only here for a short time, versus feeding their souls that last forever. And it's like that kind of boom, sank home. It's like, okay, it's important to feed my soul. So it's really liberty, as one person said, liberty is the ultimate goal of mankind. It's the power to do, be, and have. But everyone has freedom, but liberty is self-earned. And it comes from understanding your own nature. So Patrick Henry, give me liberty or give me death. Well, I don't know. What do you think? I'm thinking, it's give me liberty or give me liberty, right? Give me liberty, give me freedom. It's like, and in a way, death is liberation, right, from this body. And when that time comes, yes. But for right now, to really live it. But in a sense, it's like living with nothing else to constrain us. It's like when we can, what do they say? Dance like nobody's watching. Now that's liberty, right? And in a way, that's almost like death in a way. It's like, okay, death of the ego, you're putting all that aside. So, as I leave you this week, I just say go forth, and claim your liberty now. Claim your freedom now. Your freedom to express yourself, freedom to be yourself. So, have a blessed week, and namaste.